Alright, I just want to do a quick little update on sort of the sort of where we're at globally as far as security, not going to war, maybe major conflict wise. Alright, in the video I did about or in the segment that I did about the attack on Syria and how it's really pissing off Russia, and how we really want to kind of be cautious because, World War III is not a very appealing idea, and we really don't want to go to war with fucking Russia. Well, in that video, I also mentioned North Korea, who recently have been a little more belligerent than usual. They've been testing more rockets, making threats against the U.S. and our allies in the region. And in response to this, the U.S. has deployed a carrier strike group. I mentioned this in the other video. I'll link in the description. They deployed a carrier strike group with one aircraft carrier, 2 destroyers, and 1 cruiser to the Korean Peninsula. As sort of I believe they're planning to go do some maneuvers with the South Korean Navy or something It's a show of force. It's a way of kind of it's basically a threat towards North Korea to, cool their jets. Now, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be too concerned because it's a thing, but it happens on occasion. The problem is currently, I have a couple concerns right now. One being that our new president has just kind of finally popped his warfare cherry with Syria, and my concern is sort of okay, he had the initial strike, and then I think it was Afghanistan, yesterday or day before, they actually dropped a Moab massive ordnance airburst bomb or something. It's the largest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal. It's the first time one's ever been used, dropped in anger. So it's just okay, I'm concerned because he might be getting a little oh, this isn't so bad, and getting a little more ballsy. Plus, the media is of course just fawning all over him. And he's so presidential. Oh, Donald. Oh, Donald, your missile is so hard and big. Just give me some of it. Shit like that. They're just freaking filleting him nonstop. Well, not nonstop, but a lot of them are definitely a lot warmer towards the idea of the Cheeto in chief. Now that he's actually fired missiles at someone. What assholes. But anyway, my concern with this is that these current events in Syria sort of emboldening Trump and his type towards the whole military intervention idea could potentially lead, especially since we will have a carrier strike group in the neighborhood, could lead to something happening in North Korea. And that is, that's a big problem. Because, mainly because of China. Now, the situation with that is that China is basically North Korea's only real ally. So, and that's the thing to keep in mind. North Korea wouldn't be that big, may not be that big of a deal. It would not be a good day to try to take on North Korea. Because there are a lot of people there. It would be a difficult fight to invade North Korea alone. But then you have to look at China. China actually has interests, they want to keep North Korea the way it is and stabilize. They've been really the closest ally to North Korea over the years. Like, they're their lead trade partner. They've been trying to... they actually helped North Korea during the Korean War, or helped on the side of North Korea, or fought on their side. And in addition to that, they do have a treaty. It's called the 1961 Sino-North Korean Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation, and Mutual Understanding. And that treaty says that if North Korea is attacked by an outside force, China will come to their aid. So, by treaty, if we attack North Korea, we could end up getting into a war with not only North Korea, but also China. Because, and now there's a little more nuances to this situation here. Like for instance, China, the relationship between North Korea and China has been kind of cooling over recent years because of all the stuff like the nuclear testing and the firing off the missiles and being belligerent and stirring shit up. China's been kind of like, okay, calm down, let's just chill, okay? We really don't like this. To the point that actually in recent years China has actually come out in favor for the first time ever of imposing sanctions on North Korea. But there are still very valid reasons why China wants North Korea to stay the way it is and does not want that regime to collapse. Because for one thing, if it does, they like having North Korea is sort of like a buffer between. It's basically it keeps American forces away from their border. So if North Korea falls, and even if it sort of becomes South Korea, like it just becomes one Korea again, that would mean that more than likely there would be U.S. troops directly on the Chinese border, and that's something they really don't want. In addition to that, there's the potential for a huge influx, just inundated with refugees, just flowing over the border from North Korea into China if there is military action in North Korea, as again something they don't want. So that is a problem. That is something to keep in mind. That while the media really doesn't feel it's necessary to give the kind of attention to this that they are the situation in Syria, this is could be a real thing. And it's already somewhat of a delicate situation as it is, and it basically, if there's an exchange with North Korea, we've got two options. Now, even with their agreement, and according to recently the Chinese government over the last few years, have said that basically they will not, basically if Pyongyang or if North Korea initiates an attack on someone else, that China's not going to intervene. So there's like, okay, dude, chill out. Okay, if you go starting shit, we're not fighting that war for you. But they do still have that agreement that if they are attacked, if North Korea is attacked, China will respond and will defend them. So basically, in this situation, there could be two outcomes. Well, three. The third one being the best one, in which nothing bad happens. But if North Korea gets really worked up in a hissy and tries to launch something, America fights back, South Korea fights back, and we could potentially be in a pretty bloody war in Korea that hopefully China will not become a part of. Or option two, Trump or the White House government are just like, you know what, fuck it, we don't want to deal with North Korea anymore, just launch a missile at them. And then they attack North Korea, show, look how big and tough we are, you fucked with the wrong people. Never mind the fact that, they failed to read the same shit that I read and realize that if they do that, China, not only do they have to deal with North Korea, but now they have to deal with China. And that's the big concern. Like, we essentially have, it's almost become like a meme almost, like to the level of it's so common of like World War III, which to me it's not funny. Like we've got two potential possibilities. We could end up getting into a war with Russia because of this shit in Syria. Or we also have the possibility of getting into a war with China and North Korea. Now keep that in mind too. Like Syria, they're not as big of a concern because honestly, like I think we've destroyed most of their military abilities already anyway, and they've been depleted from fighting ISIS and the rebels for the past number of years. So in that situation, it'd be the fight would be mostly with Russia, not necessarily considering they have as many nuclear weapons as we do. Is not necessarily comforting, but it's something. China, on the other hand, like North Korea is definitely capable of defending itself. They have weapons, they have manpower. They could potentially have nuclear bombs, just none that are deliverable to outside, really outside of their country. But they might be able to get get land one on South Korea. And also, too, Seoul, South Korea is supposed to be within range of North Korean long-range artillery already. So, we would be potentially get into a war with two nations, one of which is definitely equipped with nuclear weapons, and the other which could have them. And yeah, so this is like, we basically have two opportunities to get mixed up. We have two tense situations in the world right now that have the potential to lead to a real war. Like, shit you not, like brown trousers time, like World War III situation. And we have Donald Trump and his administration in charge of making sure it doesn't happen. To say the least, I am concerned. So, anyway, that's it for this segment. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, upvote, whatever. I'll see you next time.